The email hit my inbox at 2:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. Subject line, immediate operational transition. 12 years I'd been keeping this company's payroll system breathing, and they were firing me for a 25-year-old with an Excel spreadsheet. Name's Logan Mitchell. I'm 48, ex-Navy IT, and for the past 12 years I've been the guy who makes sure 12,000 truck drivers, warehouse workers, and dock hands get their paychecks on time every 2 weeks. When I call in sick, drivers in Detroit don't get their overtime. When drivers don't get overtime, they park their rigs on the CEO's front lawn. The meeting was set for 3:15 p.m. in the VP's glass fishbowl. I knew what was coming the moment I saw the calendar invite. New VP Wesley Crawford, some hotshot from headquarters with a LinkedIn profile full of buzzwords like disruptor and change agent. I hate change agents. They're just guys who break things that work so they can sell you fixes you don't need. I'd been watching the storm clouds gather for weeks. Rumors about acquisitions, cost-cutting, strategic realignment, the kind of corporate speak that means someone's getting thrown overboard to lighten the ship. Walking into that conference room felt like entering a courtroom where the verdict was already decided. Wesley sat behind his mahogany desk, probably cost more than my truck, looking like a Ken doll left too long in the sun, shiny, plastic, slightly melted. On the leather couch sat this kid, maybe 24, tapping on an iPad and wearing one of those puffy vests that scream, "My trust fund has a trust fund." Hair defying gravity, smirk defying physics. "Logan, sit." Wesley pointed to a chair positioned lower than his own. Classic power move from Management 101. "What can I do for you, Wesley?" I kept my voice level. "I've got payroll pre-check running, so I have about 20 minutes before I need to override the California tax calculations." Wesley chuckled, that dry corporate laugh they practice in mirror. "Always in the weeds, Logan. That's what we value about you. The dedication. It's not dedication. It's maintenance. The system's 15 years old. It needs constant attention, or it dies." "Right. The system." Wesley leaned back, fingers tented like he was praying to the god of quarterly reports. "That's what we wanted to discuss. This is Hunter Walsh, our new operational efficiency consultant, fresh MBA from Northwestern, top of his class." Hunter looked up from his iPad. "Sup?" I stared at this kid who'd probably never changed a tire in his life, let alone kept a legacy database from eating itself alive. "Online program or on campus?" Wesley's smile tightened. "Hunter's been reviewing our workflows. He's identified significant redundancies." The word redundancies hung in the air like smoke from a house fire. I knew what came next. "Yeah," Hunter said, standing up with the confidence of someone who'd never failed at anything that mattered. "I've been analyzing what you do, the scripts, the patches, all those manual processes. It's very 2005. It works," I said. My hands were steady, but my grip on the chair wasn't. 12,000 people get paid on time. Every time, for 12 years running. "But it's so inefficient," Hunter waved his hand like he was dismissing my entire career. "High friction, low agility. I've built a model that streamlines everything. I can run the whole operation through Excel with advanced macros." I stared at him. Long enough for the silence to get uncomfortable. Long enough for Wesley to shift in his seat. "Excel," I said slowly. "You want to run payroll for 12,000 employees across multiple states with union contracts and federal tax compliance. Using a spreadsheet." "Advanced Excel," Hunter corrected, like that made all the difference. "Pivot tables, conditional formatting, VBA macros, it's super agile." I looked at Wesley. "Is this a joke? Are you filming this for YouTube? Is there a hidden camera in that fern?" Wesley's face went corporate stone hard. "We're implementing lean methodology, Logan, modernizing operations. The legacy maintenance work isn't in next quarter's budget. We're transitioning payroll to Hunter, effective immediately." There it was. Pink slip, wrapped in buzzwords. 12 years of keeping their world running, and they were tossing me for a kid with a fleece vest and some Excel formulas. "You're firing me," I said. "Not a question." "We're creating opportunities for you to explore new challenges," Wesley corrected with that corporate doublespeak they teach at business school. I looked at Hunter. He was already bored, scrolling through his phone like firing people was just another Tuesday task. He had no idea what he'd volunteered for. Thought payroll was just adding numbers in rows. Didn't know it was digital warfare against systems that actively tried to break themselves every day. "The pay cycle runs Friday," I said, voice calm as deep water. Today's Tuesday. No problem, Hunter interrupted without looking up. My macros are solid. Beta tested them on sample data. Sample data. This kid had tested federal payroll compliance on sample data like it was some college assignment. Like running a lemonade stand prepared you for managing millions in weekly wages. I stood up. My knees popped. Reminder that I wasn't 25 anymore. A strange calm settled over me. Not anger or fear, but the cold satisfaction of watching someone pull the pin on a grenade and stick it in their own pocket. Okay, I said. Okay, Wesley. Please leave your badge at the front desk, Wesley said, already looking at his computer screen. Security will escort you out. I turned toward the door, then stopped. One last thing. Hunter. Yeah? When the beast gets hungry Friday morning, I said, looking him dead in the eye. Remember, it doesn't eat spreadsheets. What? You'll figure it out. The walk from Wesley's office to my desk felt like a death march for common sense. My boots clicked on the linoleum. Click, clack, click, counting down to their destruction. I passed the motivational posters in the break room. Hang in there with the dangling cat. The cat looked like it wanted to let go. I knew the feeling. My desk was controlled chaos. Dual monitors, mechanical keyboard that sounded like gunfire when I typed, and a tower of sticky notes containing 12 years of accumulated wisdom. Error 4004 on Gateway 7 equals reboot secondary cache. Never trust St. Louis timesheet data on Wednesdays. California overtime law changed March 2019. Update stored procedure. I grabbed a cardboard box from supply closet. Didn't pack much. Framed photo of my Harley. Multi-tool that had saved my butt more times than I could count. Emergency bottle of bourbon I kept for server crashes. Coffee mug that said, "I'm here because you broke something." Hunter appeared behind me like a vulture in fleece, trying to peek at my monitors before I shut them down. So, he said, popping gum like a teenager, could you forward me the admin passwords? For the handover? I stopped packing and turned slowly. This kid thought system administration was like handing over car keys. Admin passwords? Yeah, database access, server credentials, you know, the usual stuff. It's all documented, I lied smoothly. There was no documentation. The real documentation was 12 years of tribal knowledge living in my head, built through 3 a.m. crisis calls and weekend emergency fixes. Cool, cool. Hunter nodded, already mentally moving on. I'm planning to migrate everything tonight. My Excel dashboard is going to blow Wesley's mind. It's got conditional formatting that changes colors based on status, red for problems, green for good to go, traffic light logic for payroll, like managing federal tax compliance was a game of red light, green light. Hunter, I said, leaning close enough to smell his expensive cologne. Something aquatic and overpriced. Do you know what a race condition is? Is that like diversity hiring? He looked genuinely confused. No, it's when two processes try to write to the same memory location simultaneously. The system panics and usually zeroes out the entire transaction. Excel doesn't have race conditions, he scoffed. It's just cells and formulas. Exactly. I hit the power button on my workstation. The fans spun down and died. That computer had been running continuously for 500 days straight. Shutting it down felt like unplugging life support. Well, I said, hoisting my box, it's all yours now. The keys to the kingdom. Thanks, Logan. No hard feelings, right? Just business. Just business, I echoed. Stephanie from HR was waiting by the elevators with security and a clipboard. Mid-40s, smelled like vanilla body spray and corporate desperation. Logan, we need your badge and you'll need to sign the separation agreement. Standard package. 2 weeks plus a month if you sign the non-disparagement clause. I laughed. Short, sharp bark that made her flinch. I don't need to disparage you, Stephanie. Reality's going to do that for me. I signed the papers and slapped my badge on her clipboard with a sound like a gunshot. The security escort was Caleb, good guy I'd shared cigarettes with for 5 years. He looked embarrassed. Sorry, Logan. Orders. It's okay, Caleb. Do me a favor, though. Anything. Cash your paycheck early on Friday, soon as the bank opens. Caleb frowned. Why? Just trust me. Before noon, Caleb. Before noon. The summer heat hit me like a wet blanket when I walked outside. My Ford pickup was waiting in the parking lot, faithful as an old dog. I tossed my box in the passenger seat and fired up the engine. I sat there for a minute, AC blasting, looking back at the glass building, just a box full of people who thought they were important. They thought the lights stayed on because of electricity. They had no idea it was all held together by the sweat and late nights of people like me. They'd just fired the janitor and handed the keys to a kindergartner. My phone buzzed. Text from unknown number. "Hey Logan, loaded the employee data into Excel. File's pretty slow to open. Any tricks to speed it up?" Hunter. I stared at the screen. He'd probably just tried to load 12,000 rows of payroll history into a pivot table on a laptop with 8 GB of RAM. The poor machine was choking to death on conditional formatting formulas. I didn't reply. I put the truck in gear and drove home, stopping at the liquor store for good bourbon, the kind you drink when celebrating births or deaths. Home was a small house with a garage where my half-restored Harley waited patiently. I put on my most comfortable jeans and sat on the back porch with my bourbon, watching the sun go down over my neighbor's unkempt lawn. For the first time in 12 years, my brain was quiet. No constant stream of error codes, system alerts, or midnight crisis calls, just crickets and ice melting in my glass. But I knew what was happening back at the office. The electrons were starting to collide. Hunter was probably clicking refresh on his spreadsheet, wondering why the loading wheel wouldn't stop spinning. He didn't know that raw timesheet data came with hidden header rows that corrupted Excel's parsing unless you stripped them with custom scripts. He'd find out soon enough. Wednesday morning broke with aggressive sunshine that made last night's bourbon feel personal. But I wasn't hungover. I was clear, crystal clear for the first time in years. I woke up at 6:30 out of habit, reached for my phone to check server logs, then stopped. Not my monkeys, not my circus. I rolled over and slept until 10 a.m., the most rebellious thing I'd done since sneaking beer into a Metallica concert in 1995. By noon, I was on my couch watching documentaries about deep-sea fishing, eating cereal from the box. My phone sat face down on the coffee table, but I could feel it vibrating against the wood. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The tremors were starting. It started slow. A few texts from work friends still trapped inside the glass box. "Where are you today? Stephanie said you left. Hunter's running around sweating through his vest. What did you do?" I didn't answer. I opened my personal laptop, a beat-up ThinkPad running Linux, not the corporate spyware they'd issued me. I couldn't access internal servers anymore, obviously. My credentials had been revoked before I hit the parking lot. But enterprise systems don't exist in isolation. They talk to banks, tax authorities, benefits providers. I couldn't log in, but I could see traffic patterns on the public APIs if I knew where to look. And I knew exactly where to look because I'd built most of those connections myself. It was quiet. Too quiet. Usually Wednesday before payroll is organized chaos. The system pinging banks for verification codes, batch processing tax withholdings, running compliance checks across 47 different databases. Today, flatline. He hasn't even started the bank handshake, I muttered to my empty living room. Kid thinks he can batch process 12,000 payments Friday morning like it's Venmo. The ACH clearinghouse needs 48 hours minimum to scrub transactions for fraud patterns. Miss Thursday's deadline, and money doesn't move until Monday. Hunter was about to learn that federal banking doesn't run on startup time. My phone buzzed with a longer vibration. Someone calling. Unknown number. I let it ring, then listened to the voicemail. Hey Logan, it's Hunter. Look, I know you're probably taking some personal time, but I'm looking at the overtime calculations for California drivers, and Excel keeps throwing #ref errors. I think maybe the formula got corrupted. If you could text me the logic you used, that would be super helpful. I laughed until I wheezed. #ref errors. California drivers didn't use standard overtime calculations. They had rolling windows based on state legislation from 2019 that cross-referenced GPS logs with clock-in times across 3 different union contracts. It wasn't a formula. It was a stored procedure that called multiple databases and required real-time API access to state compliance systems. Hunter was trying to fit the Pacific Ocean into a coffee cup. I cracked another beer and deleted the voicemail. Thursday morning arrived like Judgment Day. I knew the timeline by heart, had lived it for 12 years. Thursday 10 a.m. Deadline for finalized payroll submission to accounting. Thursday noon. Hard cutoff for ACH transmission to the Federal Reserve. At 10:15 my phone started vibrating like an angry wasp. The office group chat was exploding. Why is Wesley screaming in the conference room? Hunter looks like he's about to throw up. Payroll still isn't locked. My mortgage is due Monday. I poured Irish coffee, it was practically breakfast, and watched the digital world burn from my couch. 11:30 brought a text from Stephanie. Logan, please call back. We need consultation on the legacy system. It's urgent. Legacy system. Tuesday it was obsolete. Thursday it was urgent. Funny how perspective changes when reality bites you. I typed a reply, thumb hovering over send. Have you tried turning Excel off and on again? Too petty. I deleted it. Silence was louder. Noon came and went. The ACH window slammed shut with the finality of a bank vault. Even if they fixed everything right now, even if Hunter suddenly became a systems engineer overnight, direct deposits wouldn't hit Friday morning. The electronic bridge was up, drawbridge raised, money trapped on the wrong side. I could picture the scene. Panic in that glass conference room, Wesley making frantic calls to bank contacts who couldn't help, Hunter staring at his laptop screen like it might spontaneously develop intelligence. Thursday afternoon brought the real tremors. Screenshots started flowing from friends still inside. Big Tony from the warehouse forwarded his payroll stub. Logan, why does this say I worked 4,000 hours this week and my net pay is negative $15,000? Did I accidentally embezzle from myself? I zoomed in on the image and nearly choked on my beer. Hunter had mixed up columns during his Excel migration. Employee ID numbers got mapped to hours worked. The system thought Tony, employee number 4,127, had worked 4,127 hours this pay period. The tax calculations went into cardiac arrest trying to process a human working 24 hours a day for 6 months straight. Classic rookie mistake. Delete one column in Excel and everything shifts left. Now every employee's data was scrambled like eggs in a blender. By 3 p.m., the official damage control started. Someone forwarded me Wesley's company-wide email. Team, you may notice display anomalies on your pay portal today. We are transitioning to a modern, high-efficiency payroll architecture and experiencing minor teething issues with legacy data migration. This affects display only, not actual deposits. Thanks for your patience as we innovate. Innovate. He was calling data corruption innovation, like calling a car crash aggressive parking. The blame shifting was beautiful. Legacy data migration, code for we broke everything, and it's somehow the old system's fault. Thursday night was the calmest I'd felt in years. Usually I'd be up until 2 a.m. monitoring batch processes, watching green text scroll across terminal screens, nursing coffee and anxiety in equal measure. Tonight I took a long shower, ordered pizza, and put on classic rock. My phone lit up with increasingly desperate messages. 8:45 p.m. Hunter. Logan, seriously, the tax tables aren't working. Is there a hidden file somewhere? 9:30 p.m. Stephanie. We might need emergency consulting. Can we talk rates? 10:45 p.m. Missed call from Wesley. No voicemail. Too proud to beg on recording. Municipal tax codes aren't hidden in spreadsheets, Hunter. They're pulled via encrypted API from government servers using rotating security keys stored on a hardware token. That token was in my desk drawer, and it had expired yesterday. Without it, he was calculating taxes at 0% across 12 states. That wasn't just incompetence. That was accidentally committing federal tax evasion on an industrial scale. I finished my pizza and went to bed early. Tomorrow was Friday. Tomorrow, 12,000 people would wake up to empty bank accounts and start asking questions nobody was prepared to answer. Tomorrow, the chickens came home to roost. Friday morning broke like the apocalypse. I woke up to my phone buzzing so hard it was walking across the nightstand. Social media was on fire. My news feed, usually full of cat videos and political arguments, looked like a war zone. Checking account empty, WTF. My rent check just bounced. Where the hell is my paycheck? The warehouse workers were organizing fast. Mason Rodriguez, union rep with hands like sledgehammers, posted a video from the loading dock. No pay, no play, brothers. Trucks don't roll until money hits accounts. This is breach of contract, and we're shutting it down. Wildcat strike. 8 hours after the deposits failed to hit. Local news picked it up by 9 a.m. Logistics giant faces payroll crisis. Union threatens walkout. They were still calling it a system glitch, like when your Wi-Fi hiccups, not when your entire financial infrastructure collapses into a smoking crater. My phone rang. Caleb from security, voice hushed like he was calling from a bunker. "Logan, it's chaos here. Total meltdown. I cashed my check Tuesday like you said. I'm the only security guard not walking out. Wesley's screaming at anyone with a pulse. They're looking for backup files." "How's that working out for them?" I asked, sipping coffee that tasted like pure satisfaction. "Hunter's locked himself in a supply closet. Been crying for an hour. Wesley's talking about lawsuits, saying you sabotaged the system." I laughed. "Let them try. My employment contract says I'm responsible for maintenance during employment, not miracle working after termination." "The data isn't destroyed, Caleb. It's just locked in a vault, and they threw away the key. By noon, the company wasn't operating. It was hemorrhaging. News helicopters circled our distribution centers. Footage showed truck drivers parked across loading dock exits, holding signs reading cash or crash and no pay, no way. Stock was down 8% in 4 hours. The board was calling emergency meetings. Hunter had apparently tried one last desperate Excel repair and managed to corrupt the backup file. 12,000 employee records vanished into digital purgatory. 3:00 p.m. Brought the call I'd been waiting for. Not Wesley. Not Stephanie. Noah Patterson himself, the CEO. I'd met him once at a Christmas party where he'd asked me to fix the Wi-Fi on his phone. I let it ring. First rule of negotiation: make them sweat. His voicemail was beautiful. "Logan, this is Noah Patterson. We have a critical situation requiring immediate resolution. There were serious implementation issues with our transition strategy. Please call me back. We're prepared to discuss terms." Implementation. Issues. Like calling D-Day a beach landing with complications. I waited 20 minutes, then called back. "Logan!" Noah sounded like he'd been running marathons. "Thank God. We need the payroll system operational immediately." "Hello, Noah. Heard you had some troubles with the modernization project. The transition was premature. We acknowledge that now. We're prepared to offer substantial emergency consulting compensation." "How substantial? Name your figure." I took a long sip of bourbon. It was 3:30 p.m. somewhere, and let the silence stretch. $35,000. Wire transfer before I touch a keyboard. Choking sounds from Noah's end. That's significant for weekend work. Emergency rates, Noah. Hazard pay for cleaning up nuclear fallout. And I'm not finished. What else? New contract. Senior IT director, $200,000 annual salary. Direct report to CTO. 1 year guaranteed. And I want a written apology sent company-wide explaining this was management error, not system failure. Long pause. Very long pause. "Done," Noah said finally. "All of it. How long to restore everything? If Hunter hasn't completely destroyed the master database, 8 hours. If he has, 16. He might have deleted some core files," came a small voice in the background. Wesley, sounding like his soul had left his body. 16 hours then, plus bank processing time. I can get ACH transmission to the Fed by Saturday morning. People get paid Monday. Acceptable. Logan, we're grateful. Save the gratitude for your employees. 1 hour later, banking app notification. Incoming wire transfer, $35,000. I drove back to the office as the sun was setting, painting everything blood orange. The picket lines were still up, but drivers waved when they recognized my truck. Word travels fast in blue-collar networks. Inside, the building felt like a morgue. Emergency lighting in the conference room where Wesley sat with his head in his hands. Hunter was nowhere to be seen, probably updating his LinkedIn profile. I didn't say hello to anyone. I walked straight to the server room, unlocked it with the emergency key they'd been forced to return, and stepped into my digital cathedral. "Hello, beautiful," I whispered to the humming servers. "Miss me?" The next 16 hours were pure technical surgery. Unlocking frozen database tables, restoring corrupted tax algorithms, rebuilding the overtime calculations Hunter had demolished. My hands flew across the keyboard like a concert pianist hitting his stride. It was 1:30 a.m. Saturday when the final ACH file transmitted to the Federal Reserve. Status: accepted. Batch ID: 97,342. 12,000 people would wake up Monday morning whole again. Noah was asleep in a conference chair when I emerged, looking like he'd aged 5 years in 2 days. "It's done," I announced. He jerked awake. "Really? It's fixed. Money moves Monday. Crisis over. Monday morning, I walked into my new corner office. Windows, view of the highway, door that actually closed. I sat in the leather chair, put my feet up on the mahogany desk, and lit a celebratory cigar. My phone rang. Noah's assistant. "Mr. Mitchell, there's a smell of smoke coming from your office." "Just burning bridges," I said, taking a long drag. Old ones that needed burning. Outside my window, I could see the trucks rolling again, carrying freight and paychecks across America. The beast was purring, all systems green, and Logan Mitchell was exactly where he belonged, keeping the lights on and the money flowing, one line of code at a time. They'd learned their lesson. You can't replace experience with enthusiasm, and you definitely can't replace a systems administrator with a spreadsheet. Some fires are worth setting, some battles are worth fighting, and sometimes the best revenge is just being right when the world's watching.